Hi guys, welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we're looking at the great little text editor module. You can do some amazing things with it, simple bordered elements like that. You can change the background color on hover. You can put images in the background, change the color and the shape. You can add your own logo, add links. You can even split it into multiple columns. You can create cards with it, bullet lists and things like that. We got some here with just a bit of dynamic content in there that's going to update every day. You can pull in any sort of dynamic content. We're using our website name and tagline there, but you can pull from pages and posts, whatever you want. And with a little bit of work, you can do some sort of image swap and hover effects like this, where the text will appear over the image. Really easy to do, so let's get started. I'm going to hit the Edit with Elementor button. And let's go down, we'll start from scratch. I'm going to add a row with 3 columns in it. Just hit the little plus to add a row. Choose the amount of columns you want. I'm going to have 3. And let's go over to our little matrix at the top here. And here's the text editor. I'm just going to left click, drag it, drop it where I want it. And there it is. Doesn't look too interesting like that. I'm going to leave that default text in there. Let's just give it a bit of breathing space. You can always do that over in the Advanced tab. And give it a bit of padding. If you've got the chain checked, it'll do all 4 sides at once for you. Let's give it, say, 50 pixels all around. That's better. It's got a bit of breathing room there. If we look over in our Style tab, you can change the alignment over here. I'm going to pop that in the middle. You can change the text color right here. I'm happy to leave that as it is, but if you want to change the color, just click on it. Choose whatever color you want or type in a value. If you don't like what you've done, just hit the clear and it'll go back to how it was for you. Typography, you can choose whatever font you want here, and there's plenty to choose from. Just roll over. Go down to what you like. Obviously, font size is the size of the font. The weight is how heavy it is. If I make that bold, you'll see that it gets fatter. If I make it thin, it gets skinnier. And we'll put it back to where it was, which was on normal. You can transform it uppercase, lowercase here. Uppercase, lowercase, capitalize on normal. Again, uppercase is obviously all caps. Lowercase is all low. Don't like it, put it back on the default for you. Style, you can italicize, have it normal, italic, oblique if you want to. Again, I'm going to leave it just as it is. And if you want to add text decoration, you can underline it, overline it, put a line through, or have none at all. Line height down below is the space between the lines of text there. So you can get it crazy, or you can have it jumbled on top of each other. If you don't like what you've done, just hit delete, it goes back for you. Letter spacing is obviously the space between the letters, and word spacing is obviously space between the words there. Great. Well, this first one, all I did was put a little border around it, and you can do that with any of these over in Advanced. If we go down, we'll find border down here. Now, by default, there is no border. So you have to choose a type. I'm going to use a solid. You've got all the usual double dotted, dashed or grooved there. So I'm going to hit solid. You don't have to have a border all around. You can have a border top, bottom, right, left. I've got just one on the top and the bottom on this particular one, and just one on the top there. But if you want it all around, make sure the change checked on the border width there. Put in the width of the border you want. I'm just going to put in 2 pixels. It'll have a 2 pixel dark border. If you want to round off the corners, you can do with border radius here. And the same applies. Check the chain if you want it to do all 4 at once. Or you can get some crazy shapes by unchecking it and putting different values in. Let's just give it 5 pixel round. And of course, right here you can change the color of the border if you need to. So that's that first one. Our second one, we just had a little color change background. So again, we'll go back to the matrix. We'll pull in another text editor module. Again, let's give it 50 pixels all around and put that in the middle. Using padding for this today. In the style is where we put the text in the middle. And let's give it a color changing background. Over in advanced, we'll always find background in advanced here. We'll just use a color. Background type. Here's the color. Check on the color you want to put in there. I'm going to put a blue in. Drag it to where you want it. And drag the color selector up to whatever color you choose. Or of course you can type in a hex RGBA or HSLA color right there. That's great, but can't really see that text very well. So we know how to change the text color. It's back over in style, text color. Let's make it a white. That stands out a lot better. Now if you want that color to change on hover, go back to our advanced and back down to the background again. You've got a tab up here, hover. Want to click on it, and you can put in a new value or a new color, however you wish. Again, I'm going to use classic. I'm going to use a color. Let's have it changed to maybe a purple or something silly like that. Whatever works for you. If I hover over now, it's going to change to that color. That's absolutely fine. Now the time it takes, you can set down here transition duration. If you want it to be slow for a bit more grace, you can crank it up to whatever you want. 2 seconds. We'll make it take 2 seconds. You'll see a few little gradient colors happening there. I'm going to take this down to about ½ a second, I think. And you can slide or you can type in a value, whatever works for you. I think that works for me. Very easy. Our next one, you may even be ahead of me on this one. Let's pull in another module here. In fact, let's just duplicate this one. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hit duplicate. It'll pop another instance underneath. We can just left click and drag one across to our next column there and release. Okay, this one we're going to change image backgrounds on, and it's exactly the same place. If we go over to advanced and backgrounds here, instead of a color, we're going to put an image in. Click on it. Select the image that you want to put in there initially. There it is there. Down below, we can choose the position and also the image resolution. These images are fairly small, so I'm going to leave mine on full, but you can take down to whatever size works for you. Position-wise, I'm going to put mine in center. I want it to actually cover the whole thing, so display size, I'm going to have cover. We don't want it to scroll, and we don't want it to be fixed. If I put it to fixed position and roll out the page there, you can see it stays where it is. And that's a great little feature, but we're not using that today. I'm going to pop that back to default. And we don't want any repeat because it's plenty large enough to cover our image, so no repeat on that one. And I'm sure you've guessed it. To change it on hover, select the hover tag, select the image you want to change it to. I think we used that one last time. And we'll do exactly the same position wise. I'm going to put mine center. I'm going to make it cover. I'm going to leave those two just as they are. Now when we hover, it goes from one to the other there, which is great. And again, transition duration, I'm going to leave it on that 5. Well, let's take it up just a little bit for a bit of grace. Maybe 3/4 of a second, something like that. That's fine. But we also gave this a little mask to give it a curious shape up here. So if we close up the background, just hit the little chevron there, you'll find mask just down below. You can turn it on, and you've got a few to choose from here. I think I used a blob, and you can choose your size. Make sure everything fits on there. You can actually put a custom size in if you want to. Make it a little bit bigger if you want to. Make sure your content fits in there. And again, you can have it center, center right, center left, top center. Drops it down a little bit too much, bottom center. It kind of works. I liked it how it was, which was center. But play with it and you can get some great little effects. Again, that's really easy to do. Our next one, well, we just had a little logo in there. So let's add a new row. We'll just put 2 columns in it this time. Again, we'll go to our matrix, grab our little text editor module, pop it in there. Let's give this section a bit of space, top and bottom. I've just clicked on a little pink tab there with little dots on it. Advanced. I'm going to take the chain off. I'm just going to give it 50 pixels top and 50 pixels bottom. Just for a bit of breathing room there. Great. So this particular one, we had a bit of text. I think we had a link and my little logo up there. Really easy to do. So we'll go to the little module here, pink tab. I'm going to drop that text down a little bit. I'm going to get rid of a bit of it because I don't want that much text in there. So let's just take whatever works for you away. I'm going to put my cursor back up at the top here. I'm going to hit that Add Media button. I'm going to drop my little logo in there or whatever image you'd like to put in yours. There it is at the top there. And you can adjust the size by clicking on the image, putting it where you want it. You can also center align it, left align it, right align it. I'm going to pop mine in the middle there. Great. For the text, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab it. We can align it here, or we can go to Style and align it there. It'll do exactly the same thing. But I want to have a little link down below also. So let's drop down and we'll say more info. Or whatever you want to say with your link, obviously. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go up here to the little chain icon. I'm going to insert a link. I haven't got a real link. I'm just going to put a hashtag in there for a placeholder. Hit the apply. If you want it to link in a new tab, just hit the little cog there and you can choose to open it in a new tab. If you're linking off-site to somebody else's site, always a good idea to open it in a new tab. That way your site stays open. If you're linking to your own site, it's fine to leave that unchecked. When you're happy, just hit Add Link. And that's turned that into a link for us. Now, I'm using the free Hello theme from Elementor. I would recommend you use that with Elementor as it's been optimized for it. If you want to change that link color, we can do that easily with a tiny bit of code. Don't let that put you off. I'll put this right down below the video. If we now switch over up here from visual to text, here's our link. It's an href. I put my cursor just after the little hashtag there, just to the right, the inverted commas, and to the left of that right pointy bracket. I'm going to put a space in there. I'm going to say style equals. I'm going to add some more inverted commas, 2 lots of inverted commas. In between, we can change the color of it. So let's say color. Let's make it a dark gray, perhaps. Whatever color you want, obviously. As you can see, that's changed the color of it there. And if we switch back, we'll just drop it down again and make sure that it's on a separate line there. And hit the delete so it's in the middle. And we've got a nice little link there. And if you want to, of course, you can select it. You can make it bold. Or you can turn it into a different sort of heading, 4, 3, however you wish. And to finish this one off, we just gave it a little bit more space up here. Gave it a top border and a bit of box shadow. So if we go back down, again, I'm going to click on it. Oh, with the advanced, we'll give it a bit of space. Again, let's try giving it 50 pixels all around. Adjust the taste, obviously. We gave it a box shadow. You'll find that under border here. Just hit the little pencil icon here. And it'll put one in there for you. You can adjust the horizontal and vertical over here. Horizontal, I'm going to leave it right in the middle. Vertical, I'm going to drop it down a little bit. You can pull it up by going to the left, pull it down by going to the right. Go to wherever suits you. Blur and spread's fine. If it's too much for you, just click on the color there, take the opacity down, and it'll fade more into the background there. And the last thing we did was just put a little border on the top. So again, I'm going to go up to border just above. I'm going to select solid. I'm going to uncheck the chain this time. I'm going to put a 2 pixel border on the bottom. I'm going to leave it the default color there. Great. Well, our next one is another great one. In fact, if I click on this, I'm going to steal that text there. I've just put a couple of paragraphs of text. And we'll roll back down. Again, we'll go to our matrix. We'll add another little text editor module. Let's add that text that I just took. Control V to paste. And there it is. Now, if you want to split this into 2 columns, could not be easier. If we look down here, we've got columns. And you can select the amount you want. I'm just going to select it 2. And it puts it into 2 columns. Now, one thing you've got to remember when you're adding these columns, it does affect the actual column it's in. It's basically split this whole column into 2. So if you were going to add another module underneath this, you would actually just put it under one or the other there. Don't really need that. But you can do left and right padding. So if we go back in here, padding is always under advanced at the top here. If I uncheck that chain, let's give it, say, 20 pixels left and 20 pixels right, or even the other way around. 20 pixels left and right. That's fine, that works. But if we try putting padding on the top or the bottom, it's only going to affect one of those columns. So if you want to push it down or move it out a bit, the easiest way to do that is add a spacer in between. And if we go back to the matrix here, we've got a spacer right here. Just grab it, we'll drop it on top of this, and it's pushed the whole column down. And you can choose by how much you want to push it down. Let's take that down to perhaps 30. Obviously what works, whatever works for you. I think 20 will probably do it. Fantastic. Okay, well, next up we just had a little card here. Very easy to do. I'm sure you've probably figured that out. Let's add a new row. And we'll put 2 columns in it. And rather than going through all the spacing thing, I'm just going to go up here. I've right-clicked on there. I've hit copy. I'm going to go down to this row. I'm going to right-click again and hit paste style. And it's added that padding that we had up there. So funnily enough, we're going to add another text editor module. And again, I'm going to pop this down just like this one up here. Put in whatever image you want at the top of your card with the add media button. There's the fellow we used last time. Let's use this young lady perhaps this time. And that's popped that in there nicely. And to create a bullet list, let's just select our text over here. Here's our bullet lists up here. You can have regular one with bullets, or you can have a numbered one if you want. I'm going to hit that. I haven't got any real text, so I'm just going to drop this down. And we'll drop that down. And as you can see down below, or to the right hand side, you've got a little bulleted list there. And when you're done, just drop down a couple. And you can put in whatever other text you want there. Just grab a bit from here. Control C to copy. Back into this module. Make sure we've dropped down a couple because we don't want it bulleted. And you can put that in there. A little bit tight. Just drop it down a little bit more. And if you want to, you can center align this by selecting it and hitting the center align button. Now occasionally with these tools here, you'll only see a few up there. If you're only seeing a few, hit this little icon here and it'll drop it down to reveal the others. I think we just gave this a little bit of padding and a background color. We know where to do that. Over in advanced, I'm just going to get 10 pixels all around. And background, just choose a color you want for your little card. Hit the color. Let's have a nice light grey I think I used last time. And there it is. Looks like we bolded up that bit of text on the bottom there. Select it. Hit the B for bold. Great. Now, of course, you can use dynamic content as well. It's what we used here. I'll just do one. There's no point in me doing too many. So again, guess what we're going to use? Yep, you guessed it, text editor module. Instead of having text in here, I'm going to go with this tab called Dynamic Tags. We can click on it. We can choose whether to show post custom fields, post data, post excerpts. I really haven't got any at this site. So what I can use page title. It's called something crazy like BG1, so I'm not going to use that. Site tagline, we use that up above. Site title. Let's put the current date and time in there. And that's popped that in there. And you can do all the regular styling options. You can put it where you want. Choose the font and color. I'm going to leave mine just like that. I did decorate it a little bit by putting a bit of padding in there. Again, I think I put 15 pixels, something like that. And then I gave it a border on the top and the bottom. Down here and border. Solid. Uncheck the chain. That just gave it 1 pixel top, 1 pixel bottom with the default colors there. Really easy. Okay, for our last one here, we got this sort of image hover effect with the text popping in there. Got to do a tiny little bit of coding for this today, but it's very, very simple, and I'll put any code I write down below. So back to the matrix. Grab our little text editor module, pop it down underneath this one or wherever you want to put yours. Let's add an image in the background and make it the size that we actually want it. We know where the background is over in advanced background. I'm going to use an image, so I'm going to hit the little paintbrush there. We'll choose the image. I think that's one I had before. Again, position wise, I'm going to have it center. Display size, I'm going to have it cover. And to make it the actual size that we want it, we're going to do that. And the layout with our padding here. And I think I'm going to give it initially 50 pixels all round, so I'm going to put 50 in there. I'm going to check the chain, and the top I'm going to up to say 100. And the bottom, let's up that to about 100 until it's the sort of shape that you want it. And if that's not enough for you, you can just up it. 120. And to check on all devices, if you want to, you can click on the little computer monitor type icon, and you can have different values for tablet and also for mobile. That's great, but can't really see that text. So let's just make that text perhaps white in color. That's okay. Let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's steal from this one again. I'll just take that first paragraph and we'll go back into this one. There, we'll pop that in there. I think that's going to work. Great. I'm going to pop that in the middle. Okay, well, what we want to happen, we don't want to see this text at all. And we know this text is paragraph text because we've not changed it. And we want the image to change and the text to be visible. Well, let's do the image change first, because we know how to do that in advanced and background. Hit the hover tab. Pop in the image that we want it to change to when we hover on it. I think I used that one. It's telling me that this doesn't contain an alt tag. That's fine. All images should contain an alt tag. It should be a description of the image. And it's for people with bad eyesight that use screen readers. A lot of people use this for stuffing keywords in there. I'm not sure if Google likes that anymore. It's got pretty clever nowadays. And position wise, again, I'm going to have it center. I want it to cover. We can read that text over there. Okay, that's great. So if you want to get rid of that text until you hover over it, I'm going to do a little bit of coding here. So still under the advanced tab, I'm going to close out the background. I'm using Elementor Pro for this today. If you want to do this with the free version, you can't use their custom CSS tab. But what you can do, if I go back to the dashboard, most WordPress themes, if you go down to Appearance and then to the Customize, we'll have an additional CSS panel here, and you can write your code inside there. Today, like I said, I'm using the Pro, so I can use my custom CSS tab here. So I'm going to hit the little chevron to open it up. First thing I'm going to do is add a class name. All class names have a dot or a period, so put your cursor in there. A dot. I'm going to make up a class name. I'm going to call it IM for image, SW for switch. IMSW. I'm going to open and close some curly brackets. And inside those curly brackets, we can write the code that we want. So let's just separate them. Now, I want that text to disappear. So I'm going to give this module a class of IMSW, but we want to affect the P, the paragraph text on it. So after the IMSW there, I'm going to put a gap and P. So we're now going to be affecting paragraph text. I'm going to say opacity, OPACITY, 0. That'll make it disappear when we give that text editor this class name. I'm now going to copy all that. Control C. I'm going to drop down, and this code will be below the video. I'm going to paste it in just after the P with no gap. I'm going to put a colon and the word hover, no gap again between the colon and the word hover. I'm going to change that opacity to 1. Now, just for a bit of grace, I'm going to give it a transition duration like we did with our slider in most of these. I think we used about half a second. So I'm going to say transition duration. It's actually prompted us down below here. You can click on that. I'm going to give it, say, 0.7 second, 0.7s, semicolon. Great. And as you can see, nothing's happened. That's right, we can fix that. We need to give this the class name. To do that, let's copy the IMSW without the dot, just the IMSW. Still in our advanced, under layout, you go down, you'll see CSS ID and CSS classes. That's a CSS class, so we need to put it in the classes. As soon as I paste it in there, Control V, that text has disappeared. And as you can see, when we roll over, it's going to come back, take half a second. That's a really nice little effect. So there you go, guys. There's a few little things you can do with the little editor module. It is a fantastic thing. Save our changes here. Make sure this is all going to work on the front end. I'm going to save a draft. I'm going to hit preview changes. Roll down to where we started, which was right here. Here's our simple one with a border. Here's our little color changing background. Here's our image changing background with a little blob shape. Here's just a little card with a link and a logo. Here's where we split it into 2 columns and gave it a bit of spacing on top. There's the dynamic content one, pulling in the date and the time. Here's the one that we made into a card with a little bullet list and a bit of info at the bottom. Looks like we could have put a space in there. And here's the one where we created that little hover effect. When we roll over, that text is going to come in just like that. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.